President Trump has raised the possibility of having the bulk of his agenda approved in Congress by potentially one or two big, what they call the big, beautiful bills. Here's what he said about that.
There's great unity. Whether it's one bill or two bills, it's going to get done one way or the other. I think there's a lot of talk about two, and there's a lot of talk about one, but it doesn't matter. The end result is the same. We're going to get something done that's going to be reducing taxes and creating a lot of jobs and all of the other things that you know about. But this was a really unified meeting.
It seems like an unusual approach. Senator, is that a modality that you would recommend? And how long could something like that take to bring to the floor, like a one big bill or maybe two large bills with a whole bunch of priorities in them?
Well, I'm definitely in favor of the two-step process because we need to provide him the funding for the full 4 years to secure the border, the top priority. And that would be relatively easy. There's not much disagreement. The larger tax package and spending package is going to be more complex. I think America can rest easy, though. We are absolutely dedicated to make sure there's not a massive automatic tax increase that takes place in 2026. So we've got that amount of time. You know, from my standpoint, I'd like to take that time to simplify and rationalize our tax code, take a look at some of the proposals that President Trump ran on during the campaign. So again, that's just more complex. And from my standpoint, job one, after you secure the border, is we have to bring down spending levels. Yeah. The metric we need to focus on is total spending. Went from 4.4 trillion, average 6.5. Right now, we're spending about $7 trillion a year. Completely unjustified, completely unsustainable. We've got to get back to some pre-pandemic level. I've laid out a couple of options. Using baseline years, Bill Clinton, increasing that by population growth, inflation, using today's Social Security, Medicare, and interest. That would put us at $5.5 trillion. We'd have a balanced budget.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen your formula. It actually makes a lot of sense, Senator. This week, we're also saying goodbye to President Joe Biden. He had an Oval Office address on Monday, opted less to kind of put his own administration into context, but rather sort of preemptively warn the country about the supposed dangers of his successor. Watch this.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. No president is immune from crimes that he or she commits while in office. The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute, and it shouldn't be.
Now, obviously, he pardoned his son. He just gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to George Soros. He's talking about oligarchs out there. Let's kind of put that all aside. In your mind, what stands out? When you look back on this era, these last 4 years, what stands out in terms of the legacy of this administration? And I wonder how much, particularly because of your interest in this, is the COVID abuses. How much does that really define for you what the last 4 years have been?
And stated simply, President Biden is probably the worst and most corrupt president in U.S. history. It's literally that simple. Open borders, massive deficit spending when we didn't have to do it, sparking 40-year high inflation so people can't afford things. The embarrassing and dangerous surrender in Afghanistan that emboldened our enemies and set the world on fire. He talks about oligarchs. Yeah, we've had an oligarchy made up of radical leftist billionaires. And as you said, he just gave a big award to George Soros, one of the leaders of that group. So across the board, the fundamental transformation of America that President Obama promised us, President Biden continued down that road, but it's fundamentally destroying America. So he set America on decline. He weakened America across the board. And when America is weak, the world's a more dangerous place. Our adversaries notice this. So again, this has been a disaster of administration, the worst, the most corrupt president. That's his legacy.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.